Talking about the Samsung smartwatch. We talked about the O-Mate True Smart smartwatch smartphones. Really a standalone device that can be used as a phone running Android 4.2.2. And now Samsung is coming out with their smartwatch. And like I said, it's going to be interesting to see how they use this with Apple's iWatch that's supposed to come out. And we know that Apple depends on Samsung, and they have a very rocky relationship because, you know, they just like to sue each other. They're suing each other. Matter of fact, Samsung recently won a court case that shows that Apple infringed on some of its patents, and if Samsung had its way, Apple would have been banned from selling the iPhone 4 and iPads under a certain model here in the U.S. would have been banned from selling it unless the Obama administration stepped in and would have made that ruling null and void. So they have a very rocky relationship right now, but yet Samsung has signed a contract with Apple to provide them with parts for their iPad, iPhone, iPod, all of the different iDevices. Apple uses Samsung parts, and if Samsung is coming out with something for their smartwatches and so forth, then it's going to be interesting to see if Apple uses the same. What is Samsung going to give Apple in their iWatch? You know, because they don't want to make Apple's iWatch superior to theirs. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. But now they have a special event on September 4th at Samsung, but the reports this weekend suggest that it may have some company now. Reports emanating from the company's South Korean homeland claim the company will also introduce a purported Samsung Gear. That's what they're calling it, a Gear smartwatch during the event. Samsung has gotten into the habit of launching its products on the eve of shows so they don't get lost in the fog of countless announcements during the event. So they try to, you know, just before a show, if they have a product, they try to kind of launch it or mention it then so it doesn't get lost, you know, in all the other things that they have going on at the show. Last year, before IFA, the company outed the Galaxy Note 2. So a follow-up this year would make sense, and it fits with what we've been hearing about over the past few weeks. Now, in terms of Samsung's forthcoming mobile accessory, their smartwatch, the Gear, the name Gear was outed earlier this month in a trademark filing that they were doing earlier this month. The filing described watches that communicate data to personal digital assistants, smartphones, table PCs, PDAs, personal computers through internet websites and other computers and electronic communications networks, watch bands that communicate data to the same aforementioned devices. That is what the filing for the trademark came from with the name Gear. And with Apple rumored to be making progress on its iWatch project, the launch of Samsung's equivalent would give the company the opportunity to make a preemptive strike and set the tone for the smartwatch conversation. Although Sony already came out with their smartwatch, you know, earlier. Matter of fact, they had a smartwatch and then they came up with the smartwatch 2. So as well as Apple and Samsung, Google also thought to be in the smartwatch game. For smartwatches and stuff like that, you know, but we haven't heard a lot about it. But here's what we've heard about a little bit, just about a little bit about the Google smartwatch, just to give you a thing. The press from creating Google Glass, Google could be in that smartwatch game as well. Now, the filing of the U.S. in the Patent Office in early May showed a smartwatch with user interface features. It sounds pretty clear to that would mean a smartwatch by Google when they were doing their patents. Now, the watch displayed in an illustration that Google had shows that the plans or the circuit boards they were going to use for the smartwatch. And it's possible that the watch could rely on Google now, and whether the watch will be built by Motorola is it has yet to be seen. Now, anonymous tipsters contacted Android Authority and claimed the watch already exists in a physical form and has been seen in its Berlin, Manchester, and Google's Mountain View offices. So the Google smartwatch has been seen out there as a physical product. So will Google come out with a smartwatch? I don't think there's any doubt that Google is going to come out with a smartwatch. They're going to be in the smartwatch game. But as far as them being able to come out in time for Samsung, I don't think so. I think Samsung is going to be, well, I can't say first to the game, but second to the game, because Sony already came out with their smartwatch already. But the O-Mate smartwatch that's actually a phone in and of itself, a standalone phone, definitely to me is steps above what Samsung is coming out with. But Samsung is more popular. More people will probably go with Samsung smartwatch accessory than they would O-Mates because many people don't know O-Mate. They're True Smart. Now, here's where I think people will choose Samsung over a company like O-Mate, because most people don't see the potential of having a watch that's a phone. People still want to carry around their phones because they're going to surf the web, they're going to do business with their phones and stuff like that. So I don't think a smartwatch can replace a smartphone. However, here's where I think the smartwatch concept can actually be utilized, which is what Samsung and Sony and a lot of the other developers are not thinking about. They're thinking of having a watch that will work with your phone. It's going to work with the phone and stuff like that, and that's fine. That's a good thing. But if you have a smart watch that's a phone, on those days, let's say I'm out at the pool, or the day you're walking around, you're cutting your grass or something like that, and you need to make a call, or a call comes in, I don't need to just see who's calling me and then run in the house and get my phone. I can actually make a call with the watch itself. If I'm out, I'm going hiking, you know what I'm saying? And the watch has GPS, it has accelerometer, it has all of those things that that I can use rather than carrying my phone. And it also has 3G, 2G, 3G capabilities built in. Rather than carrying my phone, having another bulky thing, especially if you're a cyclist and you wear those bicycle shorts and stuff like that. You don't necessarily want to have a lot of things around you, although I might still carry my smartphone just as an extra piece of technology to have around in case anything happens. But at the same time, freeing my hands up with just having my smartwatch that's also a phone and something like that, just having that to me is something that's good. I mean, especially if I'm like going for a walk or something like that, and I don't want to have my smartphone with me necessarily. This watch, the O-Mate True Smart, could be something that really helps, not to replace, but definitely could help in terms of me deciding, how do I put it? It definitely could help in terms of me deciding what gadget I'm going to carry based on my activities that I'm going to be doing. Because definitely, if I'm going to be hanging out at the pool, my phone isn't waterproof, so I really don't want to carry it there anyway. But the O-Mate True Smart is going to be waterproof. Now, this Samsung Galaxy watch that's made to work with smartphones, like the Samsung Galaxy S4, Samsung Galaxy Note, and stuff like that. Obviously, it's going to be geared to work with those gadgets, but you still need those gadgets. You can have the smartwatch and it can tell time. It's a watch, but you can't use it as far as with Bluetooth. I mean, not Bluetooth. As far as 3G, as far as connectivity, cell site connectivity without your smartphone. They're not made to work without the smartphone. They're made to work in tandem with your smartphone as far as getting text messages, as far as sending out voicemails, as far as answering calls. Even they answer the call via Bluetooth, just like a Bluetooth headset that you would wear. It answers your phone via Bluetooth, but it's not made. If you didn't have your phone, you couldn't walk around with just the Bluetooth headset and make calls. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. You need the phone to make calls. It's tethered to your phone. That's what these smartwatches, the one from Samsung, the one from Apple, that's what they're geared to do. They're geared to really be designed to work with your phone so that they can work in tandem as far as phone calls, as far as SMS messages, as far as even your email and things like that. So, is the Samsung Galaxy, the Samsung Gear smartwatch, is it gonna sell? It depends, because the real drawback with all smartwatches is the size of the screen. That's the real. I mean, if you're just buying it to tell time, you can buy any watch. But most people are gonna buy a smartwatch because of all the features that it brings that they don't get with regular watches. And that small screen, it's just gonna be interesting to see how people adjust to using that size of a screen, because you're not going to be watching any kind of video on that screen. A 1.5-inch screen, you're not watching video with it. You're not going to be watching YouTube. You're not going to be downloading video and pictures and things, because the screen is just too small. However, as a companion to your smartphone, definitely smartwatches have a place, and with wearable computing becoming more and more prevalent with Google Glass, with the Recon Jet, and things like that coming out in the future, definitely smartwatches have a place. Now, will they replace smartphones? I don't think so. I don't think they'll replace, but being a companion to smartphones, yes. And this Samsung Gear that they plan to come out with next month, the 4th, roughly a little under a month from now, I see that depending on the applications, depending on how the screen looks, and you know how easy it is to type and press buttons and things like that on it, because a 1.5-inch screen for the average user like me, my fingers are, you know, pretty big, so being able to accurately text back, hopefully Google Now is going to be incorporated into these devices, like with the iWatch. Hopefully Siri is incorporated. Voice commands has to be incorporated. I'm not saying it can't be a touch screen, has to have that touch capability, but voice command ability has to be built into these smartphones, if smartwatches, if they're going to be really of any use. And the Pebble, the OMate True Smart does have the voice built into it, and also NFC is a good thing to be built into these smartwatches. The Samsung Galaxy S4 has NFC, so I don't think their Gear, Samsung Gear, won't have NFC built into it. All right, coming up after the break, you want to make some cash? You need to check out Facebook's bug bounty numbers. I'll explain what I'm talking about right after the break when we come back, right here on Tech Pulse. So stay tuned.